We'll take
yet
up
again.
we will
And
take it
let
up
us
a few hundred times because this is an important subject. But to begin with, let me give you my few administrative details. It's a very short thing. Mute your mics. Let the speakers speak first. We'll have a short discussion. We'll come back to you. Everybody will have a chance to speak. Don't worry about
उनकी
it.
वॉल्यूम बहुत
The second in our series of webinars. Today, we've got an excellent panel as usual. We've got Nargis Sethi, former Cabinet Secretary, former PSPM, former Chairman of what you call this, senior moment there, the Recruitment Agency, Public Services Commission. And many credits to her. Nargis Sethi is one of our most important, well-known civil servants. And now, inshallah, she's going to help us work out civil service reform. She's promised to do that. Second, we've got Mr. Shahid Kardar, well-known to you. He's frequently with us, so a well-known partner of PIDE, Vice Chancellor of Beacon House, ex-Governor Central Bank. We've got Mr. Shahid Shafkat, Professor of NFC College, former civil service trainer, many things to his credit, books and papers, well-known personality in civil service reform. Let's go to the next thing. This slide we always show you just to remind us that we are a beggar nation, just like a cartoon to begin with, that the IMF is chasing us and we are running around helter-skelter, crisis-ridden, chasing loans. And every decade we've been in the emergency ward of the world, the IMF. Must be something wrong with us. I can't imagine that any country has been through this. Our long-term growth is falling. Again, I want you to remember this. Investment rate is the lowest in the world and declining. So this is an amazing figure that our investment rate is declining. And don't think that anybody is responsible. Martial law, civil service, everybody has been in the fund program. So please keep that in mind. But our ancestors knew that. Our ancestors in 1950 made this cartoon. Liaquat Ali walking on dollar crutches and people behind him, the puppet masters saying, we'll keep them like this forever. And they succeeded. So these are standard slides we show. Second thing is, in our webinars, we have had many webinars and we have learned that the biggest culprit in the country is policy inconsistency and poor policy development, especially tax policy, which is bad. We've got huge transactions costs in the economy. Most of it lies in the civil service. There's an HRM negativity in our country, both in the civil service and in the private sector. State mentality prevails everywhere. Civil service is state, private sector is state. Market is hardly there. Market is highly overregulated. Energy is a major problem. We haven't dealt with it, but it's also a governance problem. It's also a civil service problem. Our cities are governed by the civil service. Our information risk sharing is governed by the civil service. That's why we take up the subject. We've had a number of education policies. We've had a series of education seminars. We had about 5 or 6 of education seminars, and we noticed there's a policy every 5 years. Who makes this policy? Where does it come from? And then we heard from major education figures in Pakistan. They say, we never read these policies. They are policies that are not worth reading. So what is happening in our country? We've had so many efforts at civil service reform. Look at that. From 1948 to now, there's been nothing else but civil service reform. And we haven't done anything yet. Everybody's got a report or something sitting around, and we've not done anything yet. So what's the story? So what is this pretense? The governance problems remain the same. The public sector enterprises are draining. The energy is draining. Education sector is declining. I just talked to a vice chancellor. He told me the student population is declining so badly, we don't know. Our cities are declining, as you saw from Karachi. And seniority rules. So that's a problem. When I was in the planning commission, we used this chart. Quality governance was on top, vibrant markets, creative cities, and I think it's still very important. Without governance, we'll get nowhere. So the question that I want to raise with the panel is a number of questions. First of all, who makes policy in this country? We discussed this in foreign aid. We had 3 webinars on foreign aid and everybody agreed we don't make policy. The PEPRA rules were made by the World Bank. The NEPRA law was written by the World Bank. The PFM law is written by the donors. Everything is done by the donors. So why do we need a civil service if everything is done by the donors? We have no M&D in the country. Whenever we mention M&D, they say, oh, please ask the World Bank, ADB. So what is the civil service doing? I ask my panel, what is the civil service doing? Regulation, PSC, and education. Is the civil service job to interfere with everybody? I have 2 people from the PID who are constantly sitting in the Ministry of Planning, talking to joint secretaries and section officers. Section officers and joint secretaries are calling them all the time. They have to sit there 24 hours a day. Why? Why are they? If we are an autonomous agency, why do they worry us? So who is to blame for this mess? The politicians or the civil service? Somebody can please tell me. Civil service, the government, cities. Who owns the city? DC or us? Master plans. Civil servants love the master plan. We hate the master plans. We tell them not to make it. They say, no, we'll make it. So there's a gang of consultants who roam around civil service, get that. Yet, despite master planning, we have no space for schools. All the schools are in houses. So what happened? Where did it go? So please, I just end here. Hey, this is tribalism. Our civil service is tribal. PS, DMG, OMG, PMS, etc. Why do we have these tribes? They're regiments. In this day and age, why do we have tribes? Professionalism. Where are the professionals? I mean, isn't it a bit about time? We've been discussing this since my father's time. Should we change it? Policy is made by donors. There's no autonomy anywhere. Every agency has civil servants bugging them, bugging the dead. It seems civil servants just make their day by bugging other people's lives. Can we use our resources better? Should there be an all Pakistan civil service, like from the DMG? Today, somebody told me very interesting. All the way from the district magistrate to the PSPM, and Nargis was the PSPM. There's only one service that rules. So how do we function? So my questions to you very simply is, Nargis Bibi, what is the structure of the civil service? First of all, Nargis, we'll begin with you. First of all, let me ask you, is civil service reform important, or is it just something fine? We can leave it be, maybe another 100 years, and we'll grow and then we'll worry about it. Is it something we should do now? Should there be autonomy within the civil service? Should our cities be autonomous? Should our universities be autonomous? Should our universities and cities be professionally made? Should the civil service be making policy, or should they leave it to the World Bank? Should they be worrying about ministry regulation? Should they be poking their fingers everywhere? How can we rationalize this system? And who is doing the research and M&E in the system? Nargis Bibi, let me begin with you. I shall vacate the floor for you. Nargis Bibi.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum to all. I would like to know, is it 3 against 1, or are we all one?
We are all one. We are all one.
Okay. Is this an elite discussion for elite, or is this discussion for everyone?
No. I'm a plebeian.
I would like to know in the beginning only, because I need a few clarifications, so I thought I should find out.
But Nargis, I'm saying I'm a plebeian. How can it be for the elite?
Because मैंने कहा मैं पता कर लूँ शुरू में ही. सही है ना? और फिर आपने, you started off by saying that half your people are sitting in the planning commission. Dr. Nadeemullah, you had a chance to reform that. Why didn't you do it?
Agreed.
Why didn't you do it? You had a chance of a lifetime. You could have done it. If anybody could have done it, then it was you only.
Totally agreed.
Okay. You think it is easy? It would be appropriate to agree rather than disagree. Okay, there's no denying that we need a competent, effective, neutral civil service. There is no denying that. And as we all know, that it is the backbone of any country's governance structure. But having said that, I also feel that this realization has been there all along. हमेशा से लोग इस पे बात करते रहे, and during the last 4 to 5 decades, we have had all kind of committees, task forces, civil service reform units, and commissions to look at this. मतलब कोई, and Kardar Sahab is sitting here. He was part of the National Commission for Government Reform, and we had many meetings which we attended together. तो इसमें तो कोई कह ही नहीं सकता कि ये क्यों किया. And the last one of these commissions was the Dr. Ishrat Hussain led National Commission for Government Reform, जिसकी recommendations are discussed to this day. And even that commission is now something like 12 years old. उसको भी इतने दिन हो गए, और कितने commissions, कितनी committees और कितने civil service reform units we have had. So I wonder कि उनकी implementation क्यों नहीं हो पाई, or what were the obstacles, or what were the difficulties. In my opinion, in my modest opinion, reports and findings even have a shelf life. Such NCGR report now also is more than a decade old. मतलब it has been more than 12 years, और उसी की reports हैं जो आज discuss हो रही होती हैं, बात हो रही होती है, debate हो रही होती हैं, और जिन पे झगड़ा हो रहा होता है. So I feel that we need to be looking at reform, but it cannot be the way it is being looked at. And there is no denying, absolutely no denying कि हमें reforms pe kaam karna chahiye. But right now there are many departments who are working on reform. There are many agencies who are assisting. There are many donors who are assisting those departments. You take, the Federal Board of Revenue, the SOEs, power sector, water sector, energy sector, a different donor is attached with each one of them. So I would like to know how are we going to how are we going to look at all these donors, or kis tarah se aage hum badhenge. My opinion is, I have taken your last point first. जो आपके webinar में it was mentioned कि how do we bring in more clarity and what can we do about it. So I feel that we need to look at this aspect first. So डॉक्टर इशरत की रिपोर्ट आज भी डिस्कस होती है, उस पे आज भी बात होती है, और उस पे आज भी उसी में से piece meal recommendations are picked up, they are discussed, and they are presented before authorities for decisions. Well, in my opinion, it cannot be like that. If a report has been prepared, then its implementation also needs to be looked at in its entirety. One cannot select some recommendations and ignore some. As recommendations and all findings have an interlinkages, they have interdependence, they have connectivity. So it is not possible कि हम एक recommendation को देख लें और हम समझें कि उसका कोई connection नहीं है किसी दूसरी चीज के साथ. So it is very, very essential. Here, there are many donors like I have remained Secretary Economic Affairs also, so I know that USAID is working with the power sector. DFID is also working. World Bank and Asian Development Banks are working with the, with the Federal Board of Revenue. Germans are also working with with the power sector, taxation, private sector enterprises. All these donors have their own agendas and they have their own goals. So we need, in my humble opinion, we need to have a homegrown, as Dr. Nadeem-ul-Haq was also saying, that we cannot be running to a donor all the time. We need to reform an institution or a sector. That is what we do in the public sector, that we are, it is actually the donors who are telling us what to do and how to do, which is not, and that is the reason that we are not able to take some realistic decisions, or we are not able to do what we should really be doing. So मेरी राय ये है कि हमें जो अब तक हमने जितना during the last 4 or 5 decades काम किया है उसको we can maybe put all those things also have a shelf life, they have an expiry date, and we need to look at all these things afresh, like maybe others also said the same thing, but this is very essential. So I'm going to just float one of my suggestions, and then I will see what others have to say about it. I feel that we need to have some kind of if we really want to move forward on reform the agenda, then we need to have some kind of a governance charter. We need to have something of the sort on which all stakeholders, all those who matter can agree, and then move forward. In the sense that right now is a very good time for all this, in the sense that we have a PTI-led federal government, we have a PTI-led provincial government in Punjab and KP, then we have a PTI-led, kind of a PTI-led government in Balochistan also, and the only province where they do not have a government is the province of Sindh. So if somehow we can have a discussion, initial discussion regarding as to what exactly do we want to achieve. Are we looking at, effective governance? Are we looking at, good service delivery? We are looking at accountability. We are looking at regulation, you name it. Then we need to first have some kind of a consensus among all those who matter, among the provincial government and the federal government. And maybe if I stretch it, then also amongst the political parties. Unless and until that is done, I don't think we'll be able to make much headway. We have had, efforts in the past. We discussed, I keep on reading articles in the newspapers. I keep on listening to people also who are talking about civil service reform, but nothing seems to be moving. like everything is where it was. You also said it in the beginning that nothing seems to be moving forward and nothing is really happening. So if we really want some things to move forward and happen, then we must have some kind of a consensus. We must have an agreement regarding these things. Only then we can think of having some kind of reform. I don't think, like, maybe we can have a few more webinars and we can discuss the details, like you're saying, what kind of a structure we should have, how can we have regulation, what should be the role of the others who are sitting in the ministries trying to control some of the organizations under them. Well, all that is subsequent, in my opinion. If we really, unless and until we can develop a homegrown reform agenda, we can have something which we can develop on the basis of our own ground realities, on the basis of what the situation is in Pakistan. And if we are not going to do that, we can constitute another committee, we can have another civil service reform unit, we can have another commission, but that will not work at all. This is what I can say after serving in various ministries and after heading a number of organizations, that this will not work. You have reforms for one, you try to reform one service, then you get a reaction. You try to do it for the other one, you get a reaction. So nothing seems to be happening. We need to have we also simultaneously needs to have a very effective, we need to have a very effective implementation strategy also. But in the first instance, before we move forward with the specific reform, with specific recommendations, we must have some kind of a governance charter, an agreement on governance. How do we really where do we see Pakistan? How do we plan to move forward? And maybe take it to the Council of Common Interest. If we can take it to the Council of Common Interest and have some kind of an agreement there, and there we will have the chief ministers of various provinces sitting there, we will have the Prime Minister of Pakistan, we'll have all the relevant ministers also, then we can think about moving forward. And there is another point which I would like to make, that during the last 4 to 5 decades, we have not really made any substantive progress. We have not been able to move forward in any way. I'm being candid. I will be frank. I know we have not really been able to do anything meaningful. But what I feel has really been missing is that whenever we make recommendations and we put proposals have been put forward, there has been resistance by the bureaucracy, also by various service groups. But there is one thing which has been missed by various commissions and which could have been done, and in which we could have taken care of what is likely to happen in the future, and we could have done for the future generations also, that we could have come up with some fresh recommendations for the entry level in the civil service of Pakistan. If we could have revised the terms and conditions for those who are getting into the civil service today, for those who are appearing in the civil service examination, those who are likely to be, assistant commissioners and assistant collectors, then obviously all those who are wanting to compete and take the examination, they will not have any objection. They will be most willing to come on any kind of, terms and conditions. So why have we not worked on that is something beyond me. So if we really want to show some progress also, and we really want to achieve something, then we can start off from the entry level. Whoever is going to do that work can start with the entry level, and then subsequently or maybe simultaneously we can look at others also. So this is what I have to say, and then maybe I'll like to hear the others also and then contribute.
Sure, thank you, Nargis. As an opening statement, that's very good. Inshallah, we'll be back when we want to mix it up a lot more. So let me turn to Mr. Saeed Shafkat. Saeed Sab, I mean, absolutely, Nargis is right that we should have like a charter or like something, and we should have some fresh thinking on the civil service. But two things are important. One, achieving a charter is very difficult to do. And when we achieve a charter, it's not necessarily that it'll lead to the best outcome. Two, also, we tend to over-engineer the civil service reform. Or let me ask you a question. Do we over-engineer the civil service reform? For example, why do we need one overarching civil service in the country. Saeed Saab, do you think we do? Do you think we need this centralization that everything has to be done through Islamabad? Do you think that every university should be controlled by a deputy secretary? Do you think every regulatory agency should be controlled by a deputy secretary? Do you think all the discourse should be run by the ministry in Islamabad? So, what is your view on the overall structure of the civil service?
Right. Yeah. Nadeem, thank you so much. It's a great opportunity, and I'm grateful to you for having me in. Let me say a few things very openly and in some ways critically. Number one, if you're thinking of recruitment, are you willing to really look at the composition of the provincial and federal public service commissions? They are only the beginning if you're thinking in terms of recruitment. And I have already done some work. I don't want to get into details of this. If you are interested, there's a paper which I have recently put out on pathways to civil service reform and governance in Pakistan, federal, provincial, and local level. So my first point is that part of the difficulty in Pakistan is that all civil service reform has been basically focusing on the CSS services. And that's, as a consequence of that, you are unable to see the total picture. Let me give you some idea of what is the nature of change. So first of all, and you started with donors and donor agencies and stuff really come. Yes. Is there a problem?
No, go ahead. I couldn't hear you for a
minute. So number one is today is 9/11. What has been the impact of 9/11 on? I think the two consequences of that adversity, and let me explain to you. Are you able to see me? Are you able to hear me? Should I continue? There was some break.
Saeed Saab, कोई आपका sound कुछ ठीक नहीं आ रहा. जरा can you shift a little? हाँ, बिल्कुल. I think ठीक है. चलिए, let's go.
I can't see him.
अब आपको आ रही है आवाज?
हाँ जी, बोलिए.
अच्छा, पहली बात तो ये है कि जैसे मैं कह रहा था कि 9/11 के हवाले से क्या हुआ ये है कि 9/11 के बाद यानी 2002 से लेके और आज तक we have one of the best and most highly qualified civil service of Pakistan. अगर मैं आपको 1000 का नंबर दूं और उसमें से फुलब्राइट जो कि आप एजुकेशन के हवाले से ले जाएं और हम्फ्री हेज और डिफेड और इतने में प्रोजेक्ट्स आपको बहुत से लिखे हुए हैं जो मैं बता सकता हूँ. तो मेरे पास जो तादाद है जिसमें कि सिविल सर्वेंट्स ने आइदर मास्टर्स बाहर से किया या PhD किया और वापस आए, और सवाल ये है कि क्या एजुकेशनल क्वालिफिकेशंस की इम्प्रूवमेंट जो है वो डिलीवरी ऑफ सर्विस में कुछ इम्प्रूवमेंट पैदा करती है. तो 0+0 जवाब नजर आता है. मगर इसके साथ ही साथ मैं आपको एक और चीज भी बताना चाहता हूँ, और मेरा ख्याल है कि इस वक्त की पाकिस्तान की जो सिविल सर्विस है उसमें बहुत ही क्वालिफाइड, कॉम्पिटेंट एंड वेरी वेरी ब्राइट ऑफिसर्स हैव बीन जॉइनिंग एंड देन लीविंग. सो दूसरा कॉन्सिक्वेंस 9/11 का हुआ वो ये था कि वो बच्चे, वो लड़के जिनको मैंने पढ़ाया, देखा, क्योंकि मेरा सिर्फ एक्सपीरियंस जो है वो किसी हुकूमत की जो है कमीशन के अंदर मैं ना इन्वॉल्व हूँ, ना मुझे पता है, ना कभी किसी ने पूछा है कि बात आप तक पहुँच सके. तो जिस तरफ मैं तवज्जो दिलाना चाह रहा हूँ वो ये है कि 2002 के बाद जब ये हो गया कि डोनर्स के जो हैं आने वाले, when it became difficult for them to sort of get into our country because this was a family station. So consequently, what happened was that there was a big group of officers who became part of the USAID, UNDP, many other places, either took 5 years leave. So this was a breed which was very smart, very effective, and they became the basic sort of interlocutors between the state and the donor agency. So please remember and try to understand that bureaucracy is imperative. It is the state. And if you do not have a professionally competent bureaucracy, you have serious trouble and consequences. So the second point with this is that, besides this, not by design, but by default, we began to have this consultancy business, which has one part of it, which is very, very important, 9/11 onwards. The third is that there is a significant number of mid-career civil servants who left. And this is, again, I'm talking about the civil service, that is the CSS services. So this is the nature of change that has taken place. So when you're really looking at this change, you need to sort of comprehend and understand why is that happening and who are the beneficiaries. So, then suddenly you began to see this inequality of income, salary between the civil servants or among the civil servants. That was one, and it began to really transform the very nature of civil service, so they left. And then there was the third element, that there are good officers who left the service, and there was no attention paid towards it. How do you keep the mid-career officers in the service? And that became a real challenge and continues to be a real challenge. And there is not much that we have been concerned is that the civil service that we have today, one way is that you should be able to, as you think in terms of reform, you should be able to look at the qualifications, improvement, think in terms of, if these are qualified people, what about the training institutions? What kind of training should we impart to the civil service from entry to middle career and then to the ultimate stage that you want to go? So that's something which is there, and we have not really paid any attention to it. So this is the first part, which is the CSS services. Now, why did I say, are you willing to think in terms of changing the composition of the provincial and the federal public service commissions? And here are some of the things that I want to point out. Given 18th Amendment, now it is all the more imperative. You see, what has happened is, if you really want to see reform happen, let me put it very bluntly, unless you break up the nexus between politician, the DMG, and police, these three, there is no way any reform is possible unless they from within want reform. No reform is again possible. And there are officers who would like to see reform happen, but then power. And nobody is willing to do that. Federation, then you think about power sharing. And power sharing, both in terms of decentralization. When I say devolution, you have to think in terms of administrative devolution. So here, the point is that now is the time to think in terms of provincial cadres, provincial service, civil service, reform there. And there again, you have to worry about, what are the functions of provincial, what are the functions of federal, and what are the functions of local. So if you are looking at these three, then you began to ask yourself this basic question: at what level and what should be the qualification of entry? Is it only thinking in terms of, a grade 17 and above? What about people who are, 8 and 16, in between those grades, 7 and 18? So here, my take on this is, you have to think in terms of really improving the skills, qualifications, training, and entry of a patwari, of a SHO, of a inspector. So there has to be a bottoms-up approach, and then there has to be a top-down approach. Shahid Kardar, a couple of years back, did some study on the provincial cadre. It did not go anywhere. I saw some of it. It was further amplified by two different young civil servants, mid-career civil servants, didn't really go any far. And when you look at the overall reform commissions, you find yourself in a very difficult and different situation. So here you have to really sort of look at this a little more carefully. The last point in my opening statement that I would like to make is that besides this training and really thinking through the training process, the most important part, what one needs to look at is the ACR system that we have in the civil services, whether it is the provincial and the federal. Now, if I were to tell you that when I joined Civil Services Academy as one of the trainers as chief instructors, all those who were either deputy secretaries or even in a position of a director, they all ended up as secretaries, federal secretaries. So what I mean is that, if you belong to a certain service and there is no possibility of scrutiny and no possibility of evaluation in a way that if there are 100 in one batch and all the 100 will be promoted. You see, it is very, very interesting to really sort of look at this. So my take will be to think in terms of the evaluation and promotion process, both in the provincial as well as particularly at the federal. And that way, it's a tougher call and it is not easy and nobody's interested in bringing about a change there. Now, in this context, you can also look at the Local Government Ordinance 2001. And what you find is that Local Ordinance 2001, by default, not by design, by default, it further reinforced the position of DMG and police. And I can go on this, but this is where my basic premise is. So if we really want to think in terms of a possible reform structure, here are three things that I would like to suggest to you. In terms of recruitment, begin to ask yourself that the recruiting agency's composition needs to be changed and it should be brought into some kind of a balance. It should not be a parking lot only for the retired civil servants and generals. That is one part which is important. It has to open up, it has to broaden, it has to be differently seen. The examination system, today, invariably it is pointed out that 25,000 or so appear or think in terms of taking the test. Eventually it is 6,000 who take, and out of those 600, basically it is 500 who are really competing. So, the rest is not important. You have to focus on 1,000. So what kind of examination system you would like to have? And what will be the nature of service? And there, I would like to make only 4 services, but I will stop here because I don't want to, really give you a structure. If you're interested in that, again, read my paper on pathways to civil service reform and governance in Pakistan, federal, provincial, local, and I have specific recommendations in that area, and I can talk about it also, but that's the nature of it. So the civil service can be revived, energized, and reformed if there is a broader consensus and a certain degree of ownership within the civil service that there's a need for reform and change. Otherwise, things will remain as they are, and not much is likely to happen. So you have to sort of really look at some of these things a little more carefully and move forward. And I think there are possibilities, because those who are joining service, they are not joining service only for public service. Public service or civil service is a calling. It's a calling. It's not simply a question of thinking in terms of what kind of honorarium or salary you're going to get. I forgot the second part of 9/11, that, in education too, we were able to get this tenure track system and also the MP1 business. And therefore, the inequality within the education, higher education, also became a problem area. So these are consequences in some ways of globalization, but there are also consequences of post 9/11 world in which we began to see some of these things. So if you want to rectify them and move towards some degree of reform, you have to ask yourself this basic question, which was raised by Nadeem in the opening statement also. Well, what kind of service? What should be the goals? And is a service at the federal level really needed? My contention on this is that the kind of federal service that we have, it has become extremely provincialized, because I know most of the officers who reach grade 20, they stay in their own city, in the capital provincial city. They don't go out, and you have all service, the federal character of the service is really destroyed. So reviving the federal character of service is essential if you want to keep the CSS services or revive the CSS services. And therefore, you have to really look at this. And as I say, I think in terms of 4 different streams in which, instead of 12, you have 4 different streams. And therefore, you began to think in terms of linking it with the entry exam, then the midterm exams, that is the mid-career exams, and then finally, sifting out and making secretary, cabinet secretary, establishment secretary as the dean of civil service, as you have in the case of Army, the MS branch and all that, which is associated with it. And I know it is easier said, and for many it will seem as theoretical, but that's the basis if you're really looking at it. And you have to ask yourself, do you need now the position of a chief secretary and a IG, because you really want to control it through the federal or the central government the way it was? So, these are difficult questions, but that is where the reform will come in if you are interested in. Thank you so much for your patience.
Thank you, Said Saab. Thank you very much. I think there's a very grand tour. I've just shown your paper to everybody. I've downloaded it. Inshallah, we'll be looking at it and we'll be talking to you more about it. Let me turn to Shahid Kardar. Shahid, I always knew it was all your fault. You have contributed to you have done.
See, the tragedy is Nargis and Saeed are actually showing skeletons in my cupboard, which is very unfair.
So,
as
I said, it's all your fault. But Shahid, let me ask you. Let me just quickly ask you this question, Shahid, then you can go. I think both the speakers have raised some very good points, but let me ask you. I mean, we are trying to re-engineer a whole system. And honestly, we are thinking still in terms that Lord Macaulay thought: recruitment, training, services, etc. What if we deconstruct the whole thing? What if we don't recruit through this major exam? What if we simply let all the agencies hire their own people? Will we have a bigger mess than we have today?
Actually, I would have come to your question anyway as part of my presentation. Let me start off. I'll be brief. I'll take just 7 minutes. I've actually made notes for myself while I was listening to everyone. I think the first question is, what should be the role of government? And I'm not talking federal, provincial. I'm just trying to understand what should be the role of government in a society and an economy today. I categorize them into three categories. What the government should not do and not pay for. This is, the government should not be in the business of running PIAs, steel mills, railways, airports, and so on. So that takes care of some of the services that perhaps are still very much a part of it. The second, what the government should pay for and should do. Examples, of course, are security, order, justice, because you need them. The third, which to me is the more critical one, and something that you just touched upon. What the government should finance, but should not do. And the best example I can think of is education. It is the responsibility of any, responsible state to ensure that everyone gets free education up to, say, secondary level. That's the financing part. They should not be in the business of delivering the education because we've seen what they get out of it. Which brings me to the second point, which then means that the tasks and functions which have to be performed, that we need to agree, would be at which level of government, and what would be the skill requirement for that. The effective civil service or service delivery is one that we all know must be nearest to the service recipient. So a lot of these so-called social and economic services would really be much more at the local level. Any reform, frankly, and Syed Shafkat actually referred to it, has to be situated in the context of the environment post 18th Amendment, which raises the question for the need to continue with the PS and the police. So now you have, after the 18th Amendment, can we still have the same structure of the services that we think are still required, which is the services for which we need to pay for and as well as do. The fourth area. Under these conditions, the federal government's role should now be confined, in my opinion, to strategic direction, policy formulation, standard setting, and monitoring and evaluation. Nothing beyond that. A lot of unbundling would need to be made, which is something that Dr. Nadeem was talking about. The fifth area. I know secretaries keep complaining about being made the principal accounting officers and hence accountable for a lot of things that have happened. We need to look at the rules of business. And Nadeem raised the question of policy. Let's assume that if the donor is not there, at least at provincial level, the policy is made by the secretary, supposedly. The federal government rules of business are different. So the powers, and you referred to that, the powers are essentially concentrated in the office of the secretary. And all functions and transactions are conducted in his name, and he complains about it. But I have not seen any secretary wanting to give up the powers of a PO, the principal accounting officer. The sixth area, which brings me to the point that you made. There is a need for unbundling through dedicated and independent autonomous bodies having adequate financial and administrative powers, which would include recruiting people directly from the market who will be actually employed by that association or body or organization. The seventh area, which is not just, you can even reform some of the things simply through looking at the business processes for delivering a certain service. Workflow can improve the efficiency and quality of service. I mean, our experience, your experience, Nargis's experience will bear me out. There are too many layers of processing. You have an SO, you have deputy secretary, you have a joint secretary, you have additional secretary, all looking at the same bloody file. And the simplest example I can think of, just to illustrate that you can actually improve the effectiveness and efficiency of service, are how what we managed to do in the case of passports and CNICs. So business processes can also be improved if you want to improve service delivery, which have nothing to do, frankly, with civil service reform. So you can do them, and that affects people much more directly than anything else. The eighth area. This present system, we already know, cannot induct and retain technical skills of the type that we now need in today's world. Today's world is much more complex. Economies, technologies are much more complex. And lack of professional skills in key positions has resulted, we all know, in huge economic losses. Senior positions, therefore, should be open to competition. Please open them up to competition. No career path should be guaranteed. The ninth area is this issue of the UPS, the unified scale. Now, we seem to be saying that the secretary social welfare should be paid the same salary as secretary finance or the cabinet secretary. For heaven's sake, it should be linked to the responsibility that is being performed. Of course, performance is part of it, but much more important. And it is because of things like these that you cannot induct and retain good quality professionals. And I'm trying to also address the question that you raised. 10th is the compensation structure. We all know, it has been said repeatedly, that the perks and privileges are rationalized, inequitably distributed. And of course, now we all keep talking about the pension scheme. So this business of perks and privileges can only be addressed by frankly monetizing them. And once you monetize them, I would start frankly with grades 20 to 22, simply because they're few in number. You monetize them today and take away the bloody GOR houses and all the other things. So you give them market salaries today and take away these, and that will enable, actually free a lot of dead weight assets, can generate a lot of revenue to actually pay for this cost as well. So take them away first from 20 to 22, give the market-based salary, release these non-productive assets which are lying in their control, they will be able to pay for their compensation. And then you start moving to the other grades. I know the bulk of the civil services grades 1 to 16, but what we need to do is now look at the kind of skills that the civil service would need. We simply do two things. One, actually surrender all vacant section positions grade 1 to 16. Second, through the process of attrition, I know it's a very slow process. What we do is people who retire, those skills are not needed. We all understand it's a very slow growing economy, very difficult to accommodate everyone. All we do is just make sure those posts get surrendered and of course no longer are available for recruitment. The 11th area is that you mentioned, I know you mentioned policy, I know donors very much a part of it, but wherever the policy has to be made at the level of the civil service, at the level of government, I've already explained in the rules of business, at least at the provincial level, the government is the secretary. The research-based reform, and yeah, it worries me enormously. Has anyone felt the need for research? हमारे तो कोई नहीं है. The classic example is PIDE. PIDE को तो government ने बनाया था ना यार. कुछ तो नहीं बात करनी, fine. But PIDE को तो government ने बनाया था. Has the government ever thought there was a need to actually induct PIDE in any kind of research which would be an input for any policy making? No. So even when they've set up their own agencies, they're not a part of it. आपको मुझसे बेहतर पता है नरगिस को बेहतर 50 साल में कुछ नहीं होता और ये एक आ जाती है नोटिफिकेशन कि अगले 2 हफ्ते में इस चीज को ठीक कर दो. मुझे बता दो क्या करना. 50 साल में जो वोट लिए do you all know, पर अब दो one particular agency, you pleased to know, it took them 2 years to make the TORs, 2 years. According to them, the TORs for that stage were arguing as to university. It took them 2 years to actually draft the TORs. And I was told today, you have to complete the study in 4 months. Jaldi hai sabko. Kiya kuch nahi, पिछले 50 साल में अब सारा कुछ 2 साल में करना. And then, of course, the role of donors, we all know. I don't want to go into reasons for allowing.
Okay, we lost Shahid. Okay, thank you very much. I think very good point, Shahid. We can see it's a big mess, but let me return to Nargis. Nargis, please bataiye, is this, can we, for example, separate the provinces and the federation and the local government? I mean, why, what is holding it up? Why is it that everybody feels that somehow the federal government, the PSPM should control everything. Why is the PSPM like the prime minister of the civil service? Why does everything have to go to him? This pyramidal structure was made by the colonials, and we still want to retain it. And so everybody wants to cling to it, especially the civil service. Why? Why don't you trust others to do the work?
चले पहले तो मैंने ये कहना था कि I am in agreement with what Saeed Shafqat Saab and Shahid Kardar Saab were saying. I have had a long association with Shahid Kardar Saab. He was a member of the National Commission for Government Reform, and I was also the secretary of that commission. So we were together for about 2 years when this report was being prepared. मैंने ये भी कहना था कि why do you think that PSPM is controlling everything? If it was not the PSPM, then before the PSPM, it used to be the cabinet secretary. So you need somebody who can, coordinate the Prime Minister's office and the PSPM roles. You may be very surprised to hear this, and I'm telling you this with, because I've remained on both the position that PSPM is one position where you do not have any authority and power of your own. Like you do not have any kind of an administrative authority there. Whatever you're doing it on the basis of what the Prime Minister's authority or powers are. Whereas a federal secretary sitting in another division or a ministry would have much more authority and power. This is something which is, a lot of people do not appreciate, do not, realize this, but this is what I can tell you. So maybe we don't need a PSPM, and we can ask the cabinet secretary to do whatever is being done by the PSPM. So in my opinion, there has to be a secretary only who is working with the Prime Minister, and let's not call that person the principal secretary to the Prime Minister. I have no issues with that, But what I'm again going back to what I said in the beginning, that, we need to move forward. Like whatever Shahid Kardar Saab was saying, or whatever Saeed Shafqat Saab was saying, I am not in disagreement. What they're saying is, spot on, and what they're saying needs to be done. We need to do that. But the thing is that a lot of other people have also been saying the same thing. And we have seen the recommendations and proposals being made in various, in the reports of various commissions and by the task forces and by the civil service reform units and, so many others which have been constituted, which were established during the last 50 years. But please tell me, like I'm asking you, what have we achieved? If we are in today, like in this webinar, we are still discussing, the PER should not have this kind of an important, or this is how we are supposed to have an ACR, or, the PAS and police service should not be having this kind of power, or they should be having this kind of an authority, or, this is what needs to be done under the 18th Amendment. Now, even the 18th Amendment is more than 10 years old. So we are still discussing these things. So we have to appreciate and realize that there is something which is not right. There's something which is not correct. Something is not happening, which should have been happening. So what is it that is not happening?
Exactly.
Like we must realize and we must understand that. So
can I respond to what the point?
Let Nargis finish, then you can come in.
The last point made by Nargis very quickly.
Sure.
I think she's completed. No, it's very simple.
No, I haven't completed, but you can.
हमारे यहाँ 18. Sorry.
Let her complete, Shahid, then you can come in. Go ahead, Nargis.
देखिए ना, बात सारी ये है कि हमने ये सारी चीज, मतलब हमने इतने कमीशन, इतनी अथॉरिटीज, इतने रिफॉर्म यूनिट्स, we have constituted everything, and all these recommendations, if we look at what has been happening and the recommendations of all these commissions and task forces, then you will see that all this, what is being discussed today, has been suggested by one reform unit or by one committee or one task force. This is not something totally new. This has been suggested, this has been proposed, this has been,
what is holding it up? What is holding it up?
Also. तो बात सारी है कि ये कोई नई बात तो हम नहीं कर रहे हैं, मतलब ये
What is holding it up? ये बताइए, hold up क्या कर रहे हैं?
होल्ड ये है कि हमारे पास, मतलब जो इन चीजों को मैं बता सकती हूँ ना आपको, आई हैव बीन पार्ट एंड पार्सल, मतलब I have dirtied my hand I have been in the midst of everything. I am not saying it only on the basis of the books I've read. मतलब मैंने ये सब अपने हाथों को गंदा करके अपनी वो की है ना. तो आप ये कह दें कि ऐसे कर दें, मगर आप ये भी तो देखें ना कि जो बनाने वाले हैं, जो कहते हैं कि we need to have reform, we need to move forward, उनकी commitment क्या है? मतलब do they really want those things to happen? All right, you have resistance from the civil service, okay, the DMG, the PAS, the police, the customs. We don't want a lot of things to happen. But what about all those who are passionate about these things, who have made this part of their election agenda, their manifestos? Why are they not moving forward? Like these recommendations आप जो कह रहे हैं वो पहले भी पेश की गई, तो उन्होंने क्यों नहीं की? इसका मतलब है कि there is something lacking somewhere. मतलब शायद वो commitment नहीं है, शायद वो उतनी will नहीं है, या उतनी ताकत नहीं है कि आप मतलब उतनी resistance ले सकें. So that is what I was saying in the beginning, that why waste more time? Okay, let's have another commission today. Make someone else the chair of that commission. और उससे भी कह देते हैं कि 6 महीने में आपने देनी है. But मैं ये कहूँगी कि ना बनाएं another commission. We don't need another commission. What we need is a implementation strategy. Please, जो आपने पहले भी propose किया, उसमें से आप मुझे ये तो नहीं कर सकते that you had prepared a report. Our report was, I was part and parcel of that, the National Commission for Government Reform. उसने एक report बनाई, आप selectively जो जिसको suit करता है, maybe you know उसका ये वाला part People's Party को अच्छा लग रहा था, ये वाला part PMLN को अच्छा लग रहा है, ये वाला part PTI को अच्छा लग रहा है. तो ऐसे तो नहीं हो सकता कि you can just pick up what suits you. Wo report is interconnected. Tomorrow, if you are going to make, you know, a specialized services, you're going to have an NES, you're going to have 3 mainstream services. तो उसकी कोई repercussion भी है ना, उसका कोई impact भी है ना. तो वो कौन, मतलब आप उनको silos में या उनको अलग अलग करके तो नहीं देख सकते. तो पहले तो पूछने वाली बात ये है कि जो political office holders हैं, उनकी commitment क्या है? अगर उनकी election manifesto का ये हिस्सा था, तो do they need to move forward or not? Let me tell you that, you know, मतलब I am not for this government or that government, I don't care. मतलब I am a civil servant and I am not a civil servant now, but I was one. तो जब electoral, like constitutional reforms were part of the 208 election manifesto of the People's Party. So they worked on those, and maybe they were keen about those reforms. So they came up with the 18th Amendment. मतलब फिर उन्होंने उनको translate किया ना, तो 18th Amendment बना. तो जो civil service के reforms हैं, उसको हम क्यों नहीं translate कर पाते और हम क्यों नहीं आगे move कर पाते? So what I am saying is that we need to move forward. We need to move forward with a strategy, and not only कि हमने ये होना है, जो भी whatever was being discussed right now, you know, वो तो बिल्कुल ठीक है, मतलब उससे कोई disagreement ही नहीं है. मगर मुझे कोई ये बता दे, how are we going to move forward when we have resistance, as you were saying, and I also realized that there is resistance. जब तक इतनी resistance होगी, तो implementation कैसे होगी? What is the implementation strategy for all this? Yes, thank you.
Great. Shahid, you want to say something?
I think just something very quickly. देखें बात क्या हुई, वो तो कह रही है क्यों नहीं होता, वो ठीक है बात, सवाल जो है. I mean, the simplest example in support of that is 18th Amendment के बाद the size of the federal government has remained the same. ठीक? Now you would expect the size to be. Now उसको oppose किसने किया? दोनों ने. Bureaucrat कह रहा है कि खास तौर पे DMG के इसका मतलब है मैं joint secretary retire हो जाऊंगा. So obviously you need enough secretary positions at the level of the federal government. अच्छा वो जो election जीत के आया वो कहता है यार इसका मतलब है मैं minister नहीं बनूंगा. So yes, it's a nexus. I concede that immediately. It's a very strong nexus where both sides want के यार उसके पास एक position. So let's stop here. And yes, the implementation.
Let me do this. Let me bring in Shakil Durrani, another eminent civil servant who's mashallah done it all and very well respected. Shakil sir, very quick question. ये बताइए, secretary की power. You were chairman WAPTA. Who was more responsible for the energy problem, you or the secretary energy? And how do we deconstruct the secretary? Please बताइए.
Thank you, Dr. Saab. One or two issues I just want to raise, and one of those was already raised by Nargis. You know, when you are looking at the civil service reforms, don't ever think that you'll be able to reform the society merely by focusing on the civil servants. I've dealt for 45 years with a politician. You need to improve the working condition, the political culture of the politicians, because most of what happens is done by the politicians. The powers of the bureaucracy are being overestimated. That is not so in real life. You know, the bureaucracy works under very tight parameters, all the more so over the last few years. But the powers of the politicians are limitless. Okay, who was responsible for the IPPs? The politicians. I was there. Who's responsible for this urban metros, the BRTs? The politicians. Why has the steel mill not been privatized? The politicians. Why have successive governments not been able to bring about any change in the administration of justice? That is one issue which is critically hampering the society of Pakistan. Civil cases, criminal cases just don't get decided. As simple as that. And so on and so forth. Why is it that there's a literacy rate of 58% in Pakistan today, the politicians? We are being swamped by people. After Ayub Khan, no one has been bothered about the family planning. And that is the one subject that's going to destroy this country. And who's responsible? The politicians. Now, you know, you are overemphasizing all these things, but the other point which Mr. Saeed Shafkat raised was also very relevant. You know, we are talking of reforms, but we are also talking of process improvement, procedures. And most of the procedures and processes could be improved without a National Civil Service Reform Commission. The Reform Commission should focus, in my opinion, on 2 or 3 things, and they have been mentioned, and Shahid Kardar also mentioned that. I'm glad those issues were raised. Number 1, is the selection system fair, and are we selecting the best? I think we are. As far as the Federal Public Service Commission is concerned, those who apply, by and large, the best are selected. If you do not apply, that's up to you. In Lawrence College, in my class, there were 2 or 3 people who were much better than me. Had they taken the CSS examination, they would have walked into the CSP. They did not take it. They became engineers. So their fault. But having done that, having said that, just on the basis of one examination conducted 30 years or 40 years back, you know, you cannot stop the entry of the professionals. Professional entry, not like Mr. Bhutto's lateral entrance, but properly selected, identified professionals have to be brought in from the private sector, bring them for 3 years, bring them for 5 years, bring them for a longer period. But that's very important. Secondly, we must give a fairer share to the provinces. Now, I've been a chief secretary, I've been serving the tribal areas everywhere, and I know some of these provincial service officers are top class. Up to a certain moment in time, you know, the PCS used to be inducted into the CSPs. That was stopped about 20 years back. That was wrong. Do you know, Mr. Ghulam Issa Khan was a PCS officer. Do you know that the finest officer ever that I've seen, executive field officer, Sayyid Faridullah Shah, was a PCS officer. So we must encourage the PCS officers, just like the police does. 1/3 of all PSPs are provincial service people, and that must happen over here also. But we must get people from outside for a shorter period. And Shahid Kardar is right. In ministries like the Commerce and EAD and even in Water and Power and all these other agencies, you need to get experts, even though too many experts are overrated. I've seen experts, chartered accountants and others who have worked in England and they have worked over here, and they are really lost. But they are good ones and they are bad ones everywhere. So I think this is the subject of reform. What's the, you know, you have to give them a reasonable compensation package, but you have to hold them accountable. Now, unfortunately, just like the politician today is not accountable, the civil servants are also not accountable. You know, there must be a means to check the delays, just as there should be means to check the politicians. For example, if you don't listen to a politician, the easiest thing for him to do is to post you out. Now, that power he cannot exercise. That is just wrong. And if the politician, you know, I can quote you examples where a secretary in the Ministry of Water and Power did not listen to a minister, so he removed him within 24 hours. I think the ombudsman must have the authority to undo such biased or those subjective postings where a person does not listen. As Chairman Wabda, I did not listen to a minister. He wanted to remove me, but he couldn't because my tenure was protected through a statute 5 years. So he could not remove me. You know, the security of tenure is very, very important. And the ministers and these politicians should not have the authority to remove a person just because he doesn't listen to them. But I'll just end over here. It is important to reform to bring about reforms, but most of these changes are just processes and procedures for which we do not need a blue ribbon commission to sort things out. But secondly, we must hold the politicians to account. Thank you, Dr. Nadeem.
Thank you, Jeannie. Thank you. Very kind of you. Good. But I think Shakil Saab, I'll come back to you, the panel again. I think Shakil Saab was very, very pro the civil service. Yes, the politicians are to blame, but I don't think the politicians are to blame for everything. For example, let me ask you a simple question. Are the politicians to blame that today the University of Faisalabad Vice Chancellor, after 3 years in court, has gone to the Supreme Court because the selection process was so deeply flawed? Why can't we select good people? Because despite the fact that civil servants want to recruit people, PSPM wants to approve people, and yet we can't find good people to serve in public sector agencies. Majority of them are empty, and the places where they appoint people, they are not the best people. Would you agree with me, Nargis, or am I wrong?
So, let me tell you this thing. In the KP province, today, 16 universities do not have a vice chancellor. In most cases, because of infighting between the educationists and the politicians. Now, I work for the Ghulam Ishaq Khan University, and we have never had a problem because the government is not involved. Well before a rector retires, we have already selected someone through an open competitive merit. And we, the sort of people that we select are world beaters. So we need to really find out why 14 out of the 14 universities or 16 universities in the KP do not have vice chancellors for 2 years. So there's really something wrong. We must be held to account. But let me also just, in the passing pass, say that the bureaucracy must be held to account. You know, deputy commissioners and political agents and everyone have to be held to account. Similarly, the police must be held to account. Thanks to General Tanveer Naqvi and General Musharraf, they brought in a system of the police. You know, all these people sitting here today, if you were to go to a police station, I guarantee you, none of you can get a FIR registered. All these 80 people who are sitting here today. Because I twice in my life tried to get an FIR registered, I could not. And I had some authority, some influence. I could not do that. And then I had to ask someone in the police to get it registered. So the thing is that everyone has to be held to account promptly, effectively, and that's not happening. And, you know, why did that civil cases and other cases last a decade or more? Is anyone held to account? No. And why is the government not doing something about it? This government has been in power for 2 years. Before them, there were 2 governments in power for 5 years each. Why is the reform process in the judiciary not being improved or in the policing not being improved? Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Nargis Bibi. Nargis, you have to unmute yourself.
You know, you can quote a lot of instances and say that, you know, the vice chancellor of a particular university has been removed, or he has not, or, you know, the government has gone against him, or something of the sort. But this is not what we should really be discussing, because there are 20 other kind of instances also which I can quote. So
Sure.
there is no point, like in a discussion of this level where you have such eminent people here sitting. So you should be looking at the larger picture, because we have had this kind of a discussion in the past also in a number of other fora. And I see an article on the civil service reform every day in one of the leading newspapers, and mostly in the English newspapers. You know, you see an article and somebody or the other is commenting that we need to have civil service reform. Like, I'm sure Durrani Saab or Kardar Saab or Shafqat Saab, we are not saying that we don't need to have reform. We need to find out how can we implement what we are saying. I'm repeating again, you know, we all realize that, you know, in order to have good governance, in order to have better service delivery, in order to have accountability in the civil service, we need to move forward. But how are we really going to do that? Because when I was looking at the aspects which you have highlighted in your webinar today, the last one, to me, the last one appeared to be most relevant, which was saying that we need to bring in some more clarity. We need to talk about how to really go forward. What can we really do? Like, we can all talk about what are the faults of the Pakistan Administrative Service, or why should they be controlling everything? Why the federal secretary so strong? Why do they have specific houses? And why do they have these cars? There are a lot of other stakeholders also in this country. I'm very surprised they also have all these things. I've never heard a discussion about those things. Why is it that we hear a discussion only about, I'm not defending as Shakil Saab was explaining, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying, are civil servants the only one who have, they should not be having designated houses, but are they the only ones who have designated houses on the main, you know, roads of this country, in the urban centers? Are there no one else? Are there no other stakeholders who have these kind of perks and privileges? Why? How come we don't discuss that? You know,
We're going to discuss railways. We're going to discuss railways next.
But that
Railways
would
ke
apply
paas
to
mein.
everyone.
We are going to discuss it. We are going to discuss them
I'm
too.
not talking about railways.
We are going to discuss. We are going to discuss.
Can I just say two points?
Just a second, आपके पर जलेंगे वो डिस्कस करते हुए ना, मतलब आप कह तो रहे हैं मगर आपके पर भी जलेंगे आप नहीं प्लीज मुझे allow me to finish what I'm saying. मतलब ये तो बहुत आसान, मैं तो ये डिनाई नहीं कर रही ना जो आप कह रहे हैं. आप whatever you're saying, Kardar Saab, I'm in 101% in agreement with you. But what I'm saying is कि how do we move forward? What is it that we really need to do ताकि जो हमने 50 साल में जो recommendations बनाई, जो बातें की, जो आप कर रहे हैं, उनको हम कैसे, how do we take them forward? मतलब we have not been able.
Nargis, मेरा
please excuse me.
Go
हम
ahead.
National Commission for Government report, वो जो reforms की report है, उसमें से selectively we pick up a chapter and we present it before our higher up, and we say, please approve this. We need to have so many streams. We need to, do away with so many cadre posts. We need to include these posts in this service. So this is really not going to resolve the issue. This is not going to make any difference to what is happening now. You can have a discussion for, as many hours as you like, but this is not really going to help, and this is not going to bring in any kind of an improvement. You must take into consideration the ground reality. What is happening on the ground? How can we really move forward? Thank you.
Great.
Very quickly, 2 points. One, civil service, मैं तो खैर PS की बात ही नहीं कर रहा था. I'm just saying everyone should, all should be monetized. That's all I was saying. So that applies to everyone, irrespective of it is. In fact, just to let you know, हमारी university में भी यही हाल था. I've come back and I've joined and I've said everything is monetized. End of story. Just to go back to something that Shakil Saab said, कि यार ये politician है, they force us to. I'm asking a very simple question. ये Dasu को, he was trying all his time to actually sell Dasu. Who was opposing it? Opposing it on the grounds that we need this money because of for foreign exchange reasons. We have to build up our reserves. We have to settle our liabilities. Are you seriously suggesting if politicians have understood this? This must have been people sitting in finance as well as in. I'm not attacking them. All I'm saying is कि आप ये कह रहे हैं कि दासू इसलिए नहीं बना कि politicians are opposing it. That was not the case. It was the decision was being, must have been, I repeat, must have been, I wasn't even there. must have been driven by the civil servants sitting in the EAD and the Ministry of Finance, as I suspect the State Bank, because of a foreign exchange needs. So ये कहना कि हर चीज सियासतदान कह रहे थे, sorry, I can't buy that. It will
This is a
depend
very
on the
important
issue.
subject
Actually,
that-
except that क्या
Nadeem,
उनके
can I
इस पे
say
ज्यादा effect
can I say
पड़े,
one or two words?
Sahi, sahi.
and I'll stop here.
I think this is a very important subject which has to be thought through, and we will talk about it. And that's the reason why for having this webinar or
Ne-
such webinars, because we really must try to understand these subjects. It's not a question of कि एक report बन गई. Maybe that report wasn't as good as we thought it was. Saeed Saab, go ahead.
जी प्लीज बेहद शुक्रिया। मैं दो तीन बातें आपसे कहना चाहता हूँ। पहली बात तो ये है कि
जी सईद साहब,
एक सेकंड दीजिए। पहली बात जो मैं कहना चाहता हूँ कि एक गुफ्तगू जिस पे मैं थोड़ा सा कीन था कि शायद आप लोग बात करना चाहें, और मैंने कहा था कि देखिए रिक्रूटिंग एजेंसी जो है वो आपका फेडरल पब्लिक सर्विस कमीशन है, और क्या आप उसकी कुछ उस पे गुफ्तगू और उसकी तब्दीली यानी सूबाई और जो है फेडरल उस पे कुछ सोचने को तैयार हैं। नंबर दो, मैं इस नतीजे पे पहुंचा हुआ हूँ कि फेडरल सिविल सर्विस की जो रिफॉर्म है, जब तक सियासी और सियासतदान और सियासी कुव्वतें और ब्यूरोक्रेसी खुद एक मुश्तरका तौर पे एग्री नहीं करेंगे, उस वक्त तक कुछ हो नहीं सकता। आप भुट्टो साहब की 1973 रिफॉर्म के साथ डिसएग्री कर सकते हैं, ये कह सकते हैं कि वो किया गया, एक किसी को नुकसान पहुंचा, वो एक इलादा है, मगर उसमें से एक चीज जो मैं समझता हूं जिस पे कोई तवज्जो नहीं दी जाती, वो है ये कॉमन ट्रेनिंग का प्रोग्राम जो कि फेडरल स्पिरिट और फेडरल जो है आने की जरूरत है। मगर जिस बात की तरफ मैं आपकी तवज्जो दिलाना चाहता हूँ ये है कि इस वक्त सबसे बड़ा मसला जो है वो हमारा है प्रोविंशियल और लोकल लेवल पे, जिसका शाहिद कारदार ने जिक्र भी किया अपने 11 पॉइंट्स पे, मगर उस तरफ कोई तवज्जो नहीं है। क्यों नहीं है कि जो प्रोविंशियल केडर है वहां पे आपको असल में तवज्जो देनी चाहिए, यानी 4 ग्रेड से लेकर 16 तक, क्योंकि जो स्टेट का फेस है वो लोग हैं जो डिलीवरी के FIR की कहानी पेश कर दी। ठीक है, बिल्कुल दुरुस्त है, और ये बहुत चैलेंजिंग है। मॉडल पुलिस स्टेशंस बन गए हैं, वो आपको फटाफट दे देते हैं लेकिन FIR दर्ज नहीं होती, तो ये एक अपनी जगह पे मसला मौजूद है। सो जो आप कर सकते हैं वो ये है कि आप इस तरफ तवज्जो दिलाएं किसी तरीके से कि आप जो प्रोविंशियल सर्विसेज हैं और जो लोकल गवर्नमेंट है उसकी डिलीवरी ऑफ सर्विस और उसमें परफॉर्मेंस इवैल्यूएशन, इसमें जो मोनेटाइजेशन जिसकी बात की जा रही है, क्योंकि मैं समझता हूँ देखें जो सिविल सर्विस है वो पब्लिक कॉलिंग के लिए है। It's, you know, you deliberately decide to do something for public. You have chosen a career, and therefore you are thinking in terms of really, you know, you are the state. And when you think of secretary, you are rightly pointing out that if you are in a promise, yes, secretary is the state. And when they talk to each other, they are talking on behalf of the state. So that part is definitely there and has to be understood. So मेरा गुजारिश आपसे ये है कि वहाँ पे स्टेट की कैपेबिलिटी, प्रोफेशनल कॉम्पिटेंस और आपको जो बाहर देखना है, मिलना है, सिविल सर्वेंट क्वालिफाइड नहीं है तो वो हुकूमत की कोई भी चीज जो है ना डिफेंड कर सकेगा, ना एक्सप्लेन कर सकेगा और ना आगे उसको प्रपोर्ट कर सकेगा। सो इस तरह से ये देखने का है। मगर जो दूसरा जहाँ पे आप आसानी से कुछ कर सकते हैं वो है आपका प्रोविंशियल सर्विसेज के उनको कुछ बेहतर करना, उनकी डिलीवरी ऑफ सर्विस के लिए काम करना, उनके कैरियर के प्रोग्रेस के लिए कुछ करना। ये है जिसकी तरफ आप कम से कम जो दिला सकते हैं और कुछ लोग एग्री कर सकते हैं। लेकिन जो ऊपर का लेवल है उस पे जब तक आपके खास तौर पे
सईद साहब
दानों को काउंसिल ऑफ कॉमन इंटरेस्ट में इसको एक होगा जब आप जमहूरियत पे यकीन रखते हैं, जब آپ جمہوریت کے سیاسی نظام جو ہے وہ بھی درست کرنے کی ضرورت ہے. تو یہ جو ہے ٹوٹیلٹی کی جس کو آپ پکچر دیکھتے ہیں تو آپ کے لیے آسان نہیں رہتا. لہٰذا آسانی یہ رہتی ہے کہ آپ کہتے ہیں کہ سول سروس کو ریفارم کیا جائے, کیونکہ سول سروس جو ہے وہ اسٹیٹ کی نمائندگی کر رہی ہے. اور خاص طور پہ آپ دیکھیں کہ سیاستدان کیوں نہیں چاہے گا کہ ڈپٹی کمشنر ختم ہو, کیونکہ اس نے اپنے ڈسٹرکٹ میں جب جانا ہے تو وہاں پہ وہ ایک فرد سے ڈیل کرنا بہتر سمجھتا ہے تو نسبت 4 الیکٹڈ لوگوں سے. سو یہ جو رویے ہیں ہمارے اور جو ہمارا کلچر ہے اس کی طرف غور کرنا چاہیے کہ ہمارے ہاں ایشو گورننس کا جو ہے وہ ٹیکنیکل ایشو نہیں ہے, یہ کلچرل ایشو ہے, اور اس میں رویوں کا ایٹیچیوڈس کا, بلیفس کا, وے آف لائف کا بہت عمل دخل ہے. اور اس کو اگر آپ تبدیل کرنے کے لیے تیار نہیں ہیں, اور وہ اسی صورت میں ہوتا ہے کہ جب آپ ٹیکنالوجی کو ایکسیپٹ کرنے کے لیے تیار ہوں, اس کو ریلائی کرنے کے لیے تیار ہوں. اور اب تو میں سمجھتا ہوں کہ میں یہ آخری بات آپ سے کہوں کہ آئندہ آنے والی 5 سے 7 سالوں میں ریاست اور مضبوط ہوگی, کیونکہ ریاست ہے جس کے پاس ٹیکنالوجی اور سرویلنس خاص طور پہ, اور سرویلنس, انٹیلیجنس, یہ چیزیں اگر ان کے پاس آئیں گی تو کنٹرول ورسز لبرٹی کا جو بحث ہے وہ یہاں پہ بھی آئے گی, اور کسی حد تک ہو رہی ہے کہ سوشل میڈیا کو کیسے مینج کریں. تو یہ چیزیں ہیں جس میں ایک کولیکٹیو رسپانسبلٹی اور جو ہے جس طرح سے آپ یہ اس وقت ہم 4 لوگ گفتگو کر رہے ہیں, آئی وش کہ کچھ میڈیا کے لوگ نظر کو, بزنس مین کو بھی سنا جائے, اور پھر بیس ہے یہ پروونشل اور فیڈرل پبلک سروس کمیشنز, ان کو درست کریں. اور پھر جیسے ندیم آپ نے کہا تھا کہ ڈپارٹمنٹل ریکروٹمنٹس بھی اپنے طور پہ ہوتی ہے, اس کا بھی ایک پروسیس موجود ہے, اس کی ٹریننگ کا بھی طریقہ کار موجود ہے. تو ان کو اگر کسی نے اسٹریم لائن کرنا ہے تو اس کو دیکھا جائے. اور پھر یہ جو ساتھ ہی ساتھ یہ کہ آپ نے جو ہے ایک سے زیادہ سیکٹری, ڈپٹی سیکٹری, اسپیشل سیکٹری بنا دیے, پھر اس کے بعد آپ نے یہ اتھارٹیز بنا دی, تو یہ ساری چیزیں جو ہیں یہ دیکھنے کی ضرورت ہے, اور ان کو ختم کرنے کا وہ ہے. تو وہ ہے جو کہ زیادہ اہم ہے اگر ریفارم کی طرف توجہ ہے, یعنی اس کے بغیر کوئی پرائیورٹی سیٹ کرنے کے لیے. اور میری, جیسے میں آپ سے عرض کر رہا ہوں, میری پرائیورٹی اس وقت یہ ہے کہ فیڈرل سول سروس ریفارم اتنی آسان نہیں ہے. فیڈرل اسپرٹ کو ریوائیو کریں اور کوشش کریں کہ کسی طریقے سے پروونشل اور لوکل لیول پہ جو ہاں ڈلیوری آف سروس میٹر کرتی ہے ادھر کچھ آپ بہتری لائیں, اور اس کی بات جو ہے باٹمز اپ اپروچ جسے میں کہہ رہا ہوں, اس کی بات پہ آپ اوپر سے جتنی چینج آ سکتا ہے نیچے سے تو کچھ کرنے کی کوشش کریں. شکریہ بہت بہت, تھینک یو سب کا.
سعید صاحب, you're absolutely right. دیکھیے جی, 2 باتیں میں سمپل سی کہہ دوں, then I'll move on to the floor, get some questions from there. We are a research institute, we are a think tank, we are paid for by the taxpayer. So our job really is to try and understand and raise questions and to try and develop as much research as possible on those questions. And of course, this is a complex subject, like every human subject is complex, not just this. Even energy is complex, even education is complex, everything is complex. And yes, of course, we have to deal with that complexity. As Einstein said, economics or social science is far more complex than physical science, because atoms don't talk back, human beings do talk back. So yes, it's complex. تو یہ بار بار ایک دوسرے کو ریمائنڈ کرانا کہ اٹس کمپلیکس, آئی تھنک از ناٹ کنسٹرکٹیو. میں اپنے اسٹوڈنٹس کو ہمیشہ بتاتا ہوں کہ وہ کمپلیکس تو ہے, اور دوسری چیز یہ ہے کہ who will implement that also doesn't concern us. What concerns us is to understand the problem. And I don't think we've quite understood this problem. Even today, after this discussion, I haven't quite understood this problem. What we've understood is that Lord Macaulay was a great man. He constructed a system that we still can't give up. We cling on to it for dear life. میں سوال پوچھ رہا ہوں آپ لوگوں سب سے, اگر آج ہم نہ سول سروس کا امتحان دیں, نہ ہم لے وہ بندے جو کہ امریکن ہسٹری پڑھیں. Oh, sorry, you've lost me. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir, we can hear you, sir. Dr. Nadeem, we can hear you, sir.
So اگر آج لارڈ مکالے کے نظام میں ہم نہ وہ بندے لیں جو امریکن ہسٹری جانتے ہیں, ڈوگر کی جنرل نالج جانتے ہیں, تو کوئی خاص فرق پڑ جائے گا, کوئی بہت بڑی بات ہو جائے گی. اگر ڈپٹی سیکٹری سیکشن آفیسر اگر سمری نہیں بنائے گا, کوئی بہت بڑی بات ہو جائے گی. سمریاں جو سی ہیں وہ اگر ڈونر نہیں دے گا تو بہت بڑی, ڈونر کو آ جائے وہ کیبنٹ روم میں پیش کر دے گا سمری, تو کیا بڑی بات ہے. Question is, right now technology کی بات کی, it is time to think out of the box. Unfortunately, none of us is thinking out of the box. We are still saying that DC, for example, میرا شہر لاہور ہے, لاہور is larger than New York. Why the hell do I want a DC or a DG LDA to prepare a master plan? भाई मैं कहता हूँ नहीं चाहिए मास्टर प्लान, हमें हमारे साथ बहस तो कर ले, वो बहस भी नहीं करना चाहते क्योंकि वो डीजी एलडीए डीसी यार बच्चा है। मेरी एक डीजी एलडीए के साथ बहस हुई थी, शहबाज शरीफ वाज बैकिंग मी, शकील साहब सुन ले, शहबाज शरीफ वाज बैकिंग मी जब मैंने कहा था हाई राइज बनाओ। एक डीजी एलडीए, वो क्या नाम था, अहद चीमा, वो कहता मैं नहीं बनाने दूंगा, एंड ही वन, शहबाज शरीफ लॉस्ट। अगर इसका विटनेस चाहिए, राना सनाउल्लाह इज अ विटनेस, ही वाज राइट देयर एंड द डीजी एलडीए वन। चले, बट आई वोंट से एनीथिंग ऑन माय ओन, सो लेट्स फॉरगेट इट, लेट्स मूव ऑन। Shahina Nisar, let's take some questions and I'll come back to the panel, then you can answer them. Shahina Nisar, go ahead.
Hello, thank you so much for giving me an opportunity. When I think of civil service in Pakistan, it seems like a carved out structure to represent a government elite class with perks and benefits. And I was very happy to see the comments of, and I would really endorse Mr. Shahid Qadir's comment that all perks should be monetized. And I'm an economist and I've been thinking about it because it does support the concept that, you know, our resources are limited and there is a price for that. So I would just endorse that aspect. My view, we are facing a lot of problems with governance, and people keep on talking about another structure for governance. My thought process goes like this, and this is because I've also worked at the grassroots level. And there was one project, this was a World Bank project where I did the midterm evaluation of a project. And I realized that it is so very important that the government machinery should be efficient enough. And so does the comment of Mr. Saeed Shafkat that, you know, we have to reform the provincial and the local government and, you know, pay attention to it, because this is very important for service delivery. And you have to promote that. And you're promising, the government is promising the people at the grassroots level certain, you know, they are the beneficiaries. And there's no process that, you know, can do without the government efficient, you know, structure. So my thought process works like this. All reforms should be objective oriented. And that, by that, I mean that one should not divorce the structure of civil service, the bureaucrats and bureaucracy from the real issues, economic issues and social issues. And accordingly, the institutions will take place. This is a process, and then you realize how institutional progress should take place and how objectives can be defined and implemented, etc. That also requires that you give certain empowerment to the people and you listen to them at the grassroots level. And that really means that the government has to promote her own accountability. I really like the Mr. Shahid Qadir's suggestion that, you know, at the federal level, it should be strategic policies and strategies. And then at the local level, you know, it should be service delivery. So this should be thought out throughout in the process. What are we trying to achieve actually with this, the role of the civil service? I've got another point, and that is, I'm just listening and I'm just thinking about certain things. So governance, you just cannot impose governance like this. You just cannot impose institutions like this. You have to work with the reality on the ground. And that is the reason when we do not have technical knowledge. Oh yeah, the important point is that there should be an internship program probably. I mean, that's just a thought out of the box, probably. The recruiting process. I was just thinking, maybe it's a good idea to include a recruitment process whereby people coming out of universities and all that could spend 2 years or 3 years working in the discipline they want to, and show their performance, their interests, their passions. This would be a test for them also to realize where are they interested, how they can promote, just like Teach for America program, for example, that works and stuff like that. So, you know, I mean, I think you cannot impose governance, institutional reform and all that unless you link it with the ground realities and issues.
Shahid Hashmat
Thank
Saab.
you.
Shahid Hashmat Saab.
Dr. thank you very much. Such an important discussion on a very crucial subject. मेरा एक बड़ा बेसिक फंडामेंटल क्वेश्चन है, लेकिन उससे पहले मैं सिर्फ दो चीज़ों की तरफ इशारा करना चाह रहा हूँ. मिस नरगिस सेठी, जिनका बहुत बड़ा तजर्बा है, बल्कि आपके सारे के सारे पैनलिस्ट हैं, दे आर ऑल वेरी हाईली एक्सपीरियंस पीपल. उन्होंने पासिंग रिमार्क्स दिया है पर जलने का, कि वहाँ अगर कोई रिफॉर्म करने की कोशिश की जाए या वहाँ ज़रूरत है, तो मेरे ख्याल में उनका एक पर्सनल तजर्बा भी है. प्रोवर्बियल हमारे यहाँ पर जलने की बातें दो इंस्टीट्यूशंस के रेफरेंस से की जाती हैं. एक इंस्टीट्यूशन की वो सेक्रेटरी रही हैं खुद, मेरे ख्याल में, जो मेरी इफ़ आई कैन रिकलेक्ट करेक्टली. अगर ज़रूरत है तो हमें डिफेंस सर्विसेज रिफॉर्म और जुडिशियल सर्विसेज रिफॉर्म की बात भी करनी चाहिए, अपफ्रंट करनी चाहिए. And I'm sure there is a need for doing the reforms in both.
जुडिशरी की डिस्कशन परसों हो रही है और अगले संडे को भी, तो जुडिशरी की डिस्कशन टेक अप.
मैंने ये कहा कि हमें शायबे नहीं करना चाहिए इस बात से. जिन जिन सेक्टर्स में रिफॉर्म की जरूरत है उनकी बात की जानी चाहिए. दूसरी बात, शफकत साहब ने बहुत जबरदस्त बात की है कि ये एक सोशल और कल्चरल इशू है नॉन इम्प्लीमेंटेशन का. मेरा असल क्वेश्चन नॉन इम्प्लीमेंटेशन पे, मैं अभी एक सेंटेंस के बाद नहीं आता हूँ. अगर ये रवैयों का मसला है और चंद रवैयों की वजह से अभी तक इम्प्लीमेंटेशन नहीं हो सकी, तो क्या रवैये चेंज हो गए हैं? Now I come to my actual question, and question is that you all have referred to number of studies, reforms, proposals, committees and commissions, और इत्तेफाक की बात यह है कि आप में से अक्सर लोग उन तमाम प्रोसेसेस में किसी ना किसी तरह डायरेक्टली या इनडायरेक्टली इन्वॉल्व रहे हैं. So you have in-depth knowledge of the problem, of the recommendations and the proposal made in those committees. But could you kindly say कि बेसिकली क्या वजह क्या है कि इतनी सारी स्टडीज हुई हैं और इम्प्लीमेंटेशन इज ऑलमोस्ट नेग्लिजिबल? नंबर वन. नंबर टू, अब जब हम बैठे ये सारी बातें कर रहे हैं, तो व्हाट हैज चेंज्ड? व्हाट मेक्स अस बिलीव कि अगर कोई नई रिकमेंडेशंस आ जाएंगी, कोई नया रिफॉर्म जो है वो आ जाएंगी, नई प्रपोजल्स आ जाएंगी, जो कि आई एम श्योर उन्हीं में से एक्सट्रैक्ट किया जाएगा, तो नई प्रपोजल्स आ जाएंगी तो उनको जो है वो इंप्लीमेंट कर लिया जाएगा. अगर पहले नहीं इंप्लीमेंट हुआ और जो इम्पेडिमेंट्स थे, वो तमाम चीजें जिन्होंने रोके रखा था, इंप्लीमेंट नहीं होने दिया, all those forces, I would use the word, all those forces, whether they were in civil service or they were amongst the politicians or they were anywhere else, अगर जो है वो उस हर्डल को हम ओवरकम नहीं कर सके पिछले 50 सालों में, तो कौन सी ऐसा chemical engineering is possible now that those new recommendations will be implemented? Thank you very much.
जी, मोइन बाटले साहब.
थैंक यू जी. एक्चुअली जी मैं यही पूछना चाह रहा था, और बेसिकली इम्प्लीमेंटेशन पे फोकस. तो कुछ आइडियाज थे मेरे. एक तो ये कि जो नेक्सस की बात हुई, तो नेक्सस को तोड़ा जाए डीएमजी, पुलिस और पॉलिटिशियंस का, और ये इन जो फोर्सेस हैं, जो प्लेयर्स हैं, इनको वीकन किया जाए और ये नेक्सस को अनवर्केबल किया जाए. एक तो ये थॉट था. दूसरा ये कि जो आउट ऑफ द बॉक्स थिंकिंग की बात कर रहे हैं, जस्ट फोकसिंग ऑन इम्प्लीमेंटेशन, तो जितनी जल्दी हम जो मुख्तलिफ ऑफिसेज और डिपार्टमेंट्स हैं उनको हम ऑटोमेट कर सकते हैं, तो फिर ये है कि कोई चीज छुपी नहीं रहती कि प्रोसेसेस में कितना टाइम लगा, किधर चीजें फंसी हैं. और फिर जैसे ये फेसबुक वगैरह में जैसे आप एडवर्टाइजिंग करें और पूरी रिपोर्ट आ जाती है कि जी आपने इन्वेस्टमेंट क्या किया और उसका रिजल्ट क्या आया, ये सारी चीजें भी बड़ी आसानी से मॉनिटर हो सकती हैं. तो ये एक ऐसी चीज है, ये जो टेक्नोलॉजी की जो ट्रांसपेरेंसी है, वो चीजें एक्सपोज कर सकती है और फिर कोई चीज छुपी नहीं रह सकती, और फिर जो आगे जो बेटर प्रोग्रेस कर रहा है वो सामने आ जाएगा. तो इसको इस्तेमाल किया जाए to the max, और छोटे small wins are better than no wins, so let's go for the small wins.
ठीक है जी. मोहम्मद आमिर साहब.
सर थैंक यू फॉर ग्रांटिंग मी द अपॉर्चुनिटी. सर मेरे दो तीन क्वेश्चंस हैं. एक तो ये कि ये जो आर्म फोर्सेस का कोटा है जिसमें 8 सीट्स उनकी होती हैं, 3 आर्मी की, 2 एयरफोर्स की, 2-3 नेवी की, तो ये वाला कोटा मतलब क्यों नहीं खत्म किया जाता? वो क्यों उस तरह से कॉम्पीट करके नहीं आते जबकि हम सिविलियंस उधर नहीं जा सकते? तो ये वही बात है कि उधर मतलब बात करते हुए हमारे पर चलते हैं. दूसरी बात ये है कि लोकल गवर्नमेंट का जो सिस्टम है वो क्यों नहीं स्ट्रेंथन किया जाता? जो परवेज मुशर्रफ का सिस्टम था 2000 का डेवल्यूशन ऑर्डर, उसको क्यों नहीं इम्प्लीमेंट उसकी लेटर एंड स्पिरिट में किया जाता जबकि उसके काफी अच्छे रिजल्ट्स देखने पे आए, लोकल लेवल पे काफी अच्छी डेवलपमेंट हुई, इम्प्लीमेंटेशन हुई. और एक चीज और है कि ये जो सिविल जो कमीशन है, प्रोविंशियल कमीशन और फेडरल कमीशन, फेडरल पब्लिक सर्विस कमीशन, इनमें इतना वो इनर्शिया क्यों है, क्यों इतनी लेक्सिटी है? तो ये 3 क्वेश्चन है सर. थैंक यू.
वेरी गुड क्वेश्चन. महमूद खालिद साहब, लास्ट क्वेश्चन.
Sir, thank you. And I would like to ask Kardar Saab if he can further shed light on it. Instead of focusing just on the supply side, should we look at the whole service delivery model in which if we can improve the outputs and outcomes and especially the processes, that will automatically take back to us selecting the best persons and making the system better rather than focusing only on the supply side where the focus is on the civil servants.
Khalid Saab, that was the reason why I mentioned you should be in the business of financing and not in the business of delivering the service. That was precisely the point.
Right.
Because you failed completely to provide decent quality services. My education in particular example there. The financing part will enable you to focus on the outcome. Just hiring and recruiting teachers and building schools is not going to give you outcomes. That is precisely my point. I can go on, but just to illustrate and to answer your question, that is precisely the reason I argued in that.
Shahid, I know you have to go. So any last thoughts?
उस हद तक बात ठीक है. There is a very strong nexus. We know this, but there are certain things, and I've argued this before. Shakil Durrani साहब ने उसी को support किया. There are certain things that we have not been able to do, even when it comes to improving the business processes, which doesn't really attack the civil service at all. So अगर वो वाली काम बात, and then we can start a process. जैसे ये बात कि ये नहीं हो सकता, मैं ये कह रहा हूँ कि भाई कुछ चीजें हो सकती हैं. And this is not business processes. You can actually start saying, and I know it's a slow process, the attrition process, the rate of attrition is 1.7% per annum. But we can start saying कि यार ये skills नहीं चाहिए, आया इस group में. अच्छा मुझे ये पता है कि यार ये vacant position है, ये यार ये ऐसे करें कि ये जो pension scheme है, आज इस पे freeze कर दें, इस pension scheme को add on these benefits today. Going forward, उसी आदमी की जो pension stream होगी will be on the new scheme. So you can, देखो ना दुनिया ने किया ना, private sector ने क्या किया? Gratuity scheme होती थी, खत्म करके उस पे freeze किया. And then what we did, I mean, I can only speak for BNU. Yeah, मैंने कहा जी gratuity scheme is but so we have now for a contribution scheme. So contribution scheme क्या हमारे यहाँ वो उसको provident fund आप कहते हैं. तो आपका अब तक की डेट पे आपने कर लिया freeze अपना gratuity, and going forward you are now, instead of having any annuity, you simply have a very simple system where you have a provident fund. तो मेरे कहने का मतलब ये चीजें हो सकती हैं. ये कहना कि फला नहीं हो सकता, frankly I have a real problem with that. Or even and we can start. ये जो है कि आपको किसने कहा है कि जी जो लाहौर का एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर होगा should be a grade 17 officer. फिर हम कहते हैं कि कैपेसिटी नहीं है. जाहिर जब आपने फैसला कर लिया कि grade 17, grade 18 का बंदा जो होगा will be the head of the LDA engineering side, by definition capacity नहीं है. So it's that kind of structure. I know it will take time. कौन कह रहा है कि ये रातों रात होगा? कुछ चीजें एंट्री लेवल पे हो जाएंगी, कुछ आज हो सकती हैं. So I'll just stop here. Thank you very much.
Thank you. शफकत रसूल साहब, आखिरी क्वेश्चन, इसके बाद कोई हाथ ना खड़ा करे. शफकत रसूल साहब, go ahead. शफकत रसूल, are you there?
जी अस्सलाम वालेकुम. अच्छा, मेरा सवाल ये है कि जो ब्यूरोक्रेसी में इंटरफेरेंस होता है पॉलिटिशियन का, वो कैसे बैलेंस किया जाए, क्योंकि वो जो है ब्यूरोक्रेसी को तंग भी ना करे, इंटरफेयर भी ना करे, और करना भी होता है. अगर पॉलिटिशियन का ब्यूरोक्रेसी ना सुनेगी तो काम कैसे चलेगा? लाइक उस्मान बुज़दार का जो लाहौर में भी इशू चल रहा था आईजी के साथ या एसएसपी के साथ, अगर उनकी कौन सी अथॉरिटी बनती है तो उनका भी तो रोल बनता है. वो कैसे बैलेंस किया जाए उनके दरमियान? और दूसरा मेरा सवाल है कि हम देखते हैं कि सीएसएस ऑफिसर जो बहुत अच्छी तैयारी करते हैं, बहुत हार्ड वर्क भी करते हैं, अच्छे इंस्टीट्यूशन में ट्रेनिंग्स भी करते हैं, मगर पाकिस्तान में प्रोग्रेस क्यों नहीं होती? पाकिस्तान में ब्यूरोक्रेसी इतनी क्यों मफलूज हो जाती है? अगर पीटीआई गवर्नमेंट में अभी प्रोग्रेस में स्लो है तो वो ब्यूरोक्रेसी की वजह से है. तो इनके बारे में क्या कहना है? थैंक यू.
ठीक है जी. Before I go back to the panel, Abid Sherwani Saab, Rector of UMT. Abid Saab, you've had long experience in Pakistan, long experience of management, etc. What's your take on civil service reform? आप क्या कहेंगे, क्यों नहीं हो रहा और क्या करना चाहिए और क्यों हम इसमें बार बार फेल करते हैं? Abid Saab. Abid Sherwani Saab, are you there? I don't think so.
जी, आप सुन रहे हैं सर मुझे?
जी?
Are you hearing sir?
जी, go ahead.
अच्छा, sir, thank you very much. First of all, it is very wonderful webinar. मेरी तो सर कोई तकरीबन 32 साल से हम ब्यूरोक्रेसी से नबर आजमा हैं in different steps and phases, क्योंकि हमने बिल्कुल 2 कमरों से एक इंस्टीट्यूशन शुरू किया था और आज अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ मैनेजमेंट टेक्नोलॉजी एक बहुत अच्छा इंस्टीट्यूशन शुमार होता है और तकरीबन 30,000 ग्रेजुएट्स हम प्रोड्यूस कर चुके हैं. लेकिन मैं समझता हूँ कि ब्यूरोक्रेसी के अंदर जो है अभी तक मैंने 32 साल में ये देखा, जहाँ से हमने सफ़र शुरू किया था हम उससे बहुत पीछे चले गए हैं. और 32 साल पहले जो नेशंस थी जो हमसे बहुत पीछे थी वो हमसे बहुत आगे चले गई. आप ताइवान को देख लें, आप वियतनाम को देख लें, आप मलेशिया को देख लें, आप तुर्की को देख लें, इंडोनेशिया को देख लें, इवन चाइना को देख लें. तो हम ब्यूरोक्रेसी में बहुत अरसे से सुन रहे हैं रिफॉर्म्स करने की. रिफॉर्म्स की कमेटी पिछली गवर्नमेंट ने भी, एहसन इकबाल साहब ने इस पर बहुत काम किया रिफॉर्म करने की, लेकिन कुछ ना कर सके. उससे पहले भी डॉक्टर इशरत साहब बहुत अरसे से लगे हुए हैं, नहीं हो सकी, क्योंकि जिन्होंने रिफॉर्म करना, जो इम्प्लीमेंट करना, वो तो ब्यूरोक्रेसी है. वो कैसे चाहेंगे? तो इसके लिए मैंने कुछ तजावीज़ दी थी कि हमारा पूरा, जैसे डॉक्टर सईद शफकत साहब ने दुरुस्त कहा कि ट्रेनिंग है, एटीट्यूड है, हमें अब ट्रेनिंग से निकलना पड़ेगा, हमें अपना करिकुलम ठीक करना पड़ेगा, एटीट्यूड ठीक करने पड़ेंगे, अपना ब्रीफ ठीक करना पड़ेगा. अगर हम ये चीज़ें कर लेंगे तो शायद हमारी बेहतरी हो जाए. अदरवाइज शायद 5 साल बाद हम दोबारा कोई सेमिनार ऐसा करेंगे तो हमारे पास यही सक्सेस फिगर आएंगे. बहरहाल मेरी दुआ है और इसमें कोई हर्ज नहीं है कि हम 60s का जो जज्बा था वो हम वापस ले आएँ, तो हमें फिर हार्वर्ड बिजनेस रिव्यू अपने जगह दे और हमारे पर एक केस स्टडी करे कि हम किस तरह से एशिया की और वर्ल्ड पावर बन सकते हैं. बहुत शुक्रिया सर.
Thank you. Okay ji, back to you, Nargis baby. Nargis, your last words. We'll close down after this. Nargis, you have to unmute yourself.
Sorry. Okay. I still feel that, we have discussed everything, but we have not, I'm repeating, but we have not discussed a strategy for implementation. And we really need to work on that. And whoever is going to be talking about the reform agenda now must talk about the reform agenda with the strategy for its implementation. It is being, even only the other day we read in the newspaper that some people are going to be taken in from the provinces into the Pakistan Administrative Service, and they will have, now they'll be able to serve all across Pakistan. I really want to see how that will really be done, and if the provinces have been taken on board about it or not. So when we give a recommendation, we give a proposal, then we must do that along with its implementation strategy. Thank you.
Thank you, Nargis Bibi. Saeed Saab, can I just ask you a simple question? Aapne jo baat ki about changing the public service commissions. What if we abolish the public service commission, and what if we just simply don't have this silly exam of making people memorize the American history or global botany or Doger's general knowledge? तो कोई फर्क पड़ जाएगा?
बिल्कुल फर्क पड़ जाएगा नदीम, मैं आपसे इस बात पे बिल्कुल मुत्तफिक नहीं हूँ, और मैं माफ़ी चाहता हूँ। मैं आपको ये भी कहना चाहता हूँ कि अब ये लॉर्ड मैकाले वाली सर्विस नहीं है। ये सर्विस जो है, ये वो सर्विस है जो हमारे अपने रवैयों, हमारे अपने जो है खास तौर पे पोस्ट
Saeed Saab, we seem to have lost you. Saeed Saab.
71 का जो पाकिस्तान है, जिस the values have on that. मैंने public service commission का जी
No, go ahead. Now we can. अब आ रही है, हाँ जी.
ये एक सेकंड.
Go ahead.
हाँ, मैंने पब्लिक सर्विस कमीशन का इसलिए आपसे कहा कि देखिए रिक्रूटमेंट जो है वो अगर आपने एग्जाम बदलना है, अगर आपने एग्जाम को बदलना है और चेंज करना है और रिक्रूटमेंट का प्रोसेस बदलना है, तो उसमें आप ये 2-3 गुजारिशात सुन लीजिए। पहले आपने एज और क्वालिफिकेशन की लिमिट, यानी आप अभी तक सब जो हैं वो फेडरल पब्लिक सर्विस की तरफ ज़्यादा तवज्जो दे रहे हैं। मैं आपकी तवज्जो दिलाने की कोशिश कर रहा हूँ कि ख़ास तौर पे अब जबकि हमारी एक ट्रेजेडी बहुत बड़ी जो सामने आ रही है वो ये है कि जो फेडरल सिविल सर्विस थी हमारी, उसने फेडरल स्पिरिट ख़त्म कर दिया। और फेडरल स्पिरिट ये थी कि आप एक से दूसरे सूबे में और पूरे मुल्क के अंदर सर्व करेंगे, और जो अंग्रेज का तरीकाकार था वो था कि आपने डिस्ट्रिक्ट्स में जाना है, उसके बाद ऊपर आना है। तो ये जो है हिस्सा बहुत हद तक महदूद हो गया, जिसमें कि हमारे अपने सिविल सर्वेंट इस जनरेशन के खास तौर पे जिम्मेदार हैं। तो एक तो ये इसको एड्रेस करने की जरूरत है, यानी हाउ डू वी रिवाइव द फेडरल स्पिरिट, एंड फॉर दैट यू नीड टू हैव ए
So we lost you again.
You would like the civil service proof. It is going to be eight. Are you listening? Are you with me? I can see. जी तो मेरे ख्याल में जो है स्टेट विदर वे नहीं कर रही, स्टेट नए अंदाज में बहुत मजबूत होकर सामने आ रही है, चाहे वो अमेरिका की स्टेट हो, चाहे वो कहीं और की स्टेट हो। तो उसके खदो खाल बदल रहे हैं, और वो खदो खाल जो हैं उसमें टेक्नोलॉजी, और पर्टिकुलरली मैं फिर रिपीट करता हूँ कि ये जो सर्वेलेंस टेक्नोलॉजी है उसका रोल बहुत बड़ा होगा। सो स्टेट जो है वो अपने कंट्रोल को एक्सपैंड करने के लिए हर किस्म की कोशिश करेगी, और उसमें स्टेट के अंदर जो कंपीटिंग एक्टर्स हैं जो इन चीज़ों को रेगुलेट कर रहे होंगे, उनको ही तरफ आपको तवज्जो ना होगी। सो यहाँ पे है रोल कि जी जो लोग जमहूरियत पे यकीन रखते हैं, लिबर्टीज़ को प्रोटेक्ट करना चाहते हैं, सिविल राइट्स के हक में हैं, उनका रोल क्या है, क्या वो किसी उसके लिए तैयार है? नहीं। तो एक तो ये है कि आपने अगर फेडरल लेवल पे देखना है तो पहले आप फेडरल लेवल के एंट्री एज और उसके हवाले से उस फेडरल पब्लिक सर्विस कमीशन जो है उसकी कंपोजिशन, उसको ज़रा बदलने की कोशिश करें, जो कि इतना आसान काम नहीं है। और मैं समझता हूँ कि फेडरल सिविल सर्विस की भी जो है वो मैंने एक क्लासिफिकेशन दी हुई, अगर आप मुझे इजाज़त देते हैं तो मैं बता सकता हूँ कि मेरे ख्याल में जो फेडरल सर्विसेज हैं वो 4 चीज़ों की तरफ बुनियादी तौर पे फोकस कर रही हों तो कोई काम की बात हो सकती है, जिसमें कि पहली जो है वो हो कि आप उस सर्विस की तरफ जा रहे हो जो कि इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर की तरफ गौर कर रही है। दूसरी सर्विस है जो कि होमलैंड सिक्योरिटी से ताल्लुक़ रखती है। तीसरी है जो फॉरेन सर्विस से ताल्लुक़ रखती है। और चौथी जो है मैंने इनके नाम दिए हुए हैं, चौथी जो है वो फाइनेंस, इकोनॉमिक्स और प्लानिंग के साथ ताल्लुक़ रखती है। तो ये जो है फेडरल लेवल जो है वो इसकी तरफ तवज्जो दिया जाए, और वरना آپ کے پاس جو آپ بار بار خدشات اظہار کرتے ہیں کہ فوج کیوں آ جاتی ہے, فوج کیوں ایکسپینڈ کرتی ہے, اب آپ اس وقت دیکھیے کہ انفارمیشن منسٹری کہاں ہے اس ملک میں. کیوں ISPR نے رول وہ ادا لے لیا؟ کیونکہ جن کا یہ کام تھا اور بہت اچھا کام ایک وقت میں کیا گیا, انہوں نے اپنا کام کرنا چھوڑ دیا. تو دوسرا, کیونکہ یہ ویکیوم میں چیزیں نہیں رہ سکتی. سو اس طرح سے یہ ایک تو اس فیڈرل لیول پہ آپ کو پبلک سروس کمیشن اور انٹری کے حوالے سے یہ ان باتوں کی طرف توجہ دیکھنی ہوگی, جس میں کہ پورے ملک کے لیے فیڈرل سروس جو ہے وہ اوپن ہو. لیٹرل انٹری واز ناٹ اے بیڈ آئیڈیا. لیٹرل انٹری اس لیے خراب ہو گیا کہ اس کا ابھی بھی, کیونکہ لیٹرل انٹری جو ہے وہ آپ کے ہاں پروفیشنلز کو انٹر ہونے کی صلاحیت دے سکتی ہے, موقع دے سکتی ہے, اس لیے اس کی طرف آپ کی توجہ ضرور ہونی چاہیے اور اس کو مضبوط کرنے کے لیے ہمیں کوشش کرنی چاہیے. جو تیسری اور آخری بات ہے وہ ہے کہ چونکہ فیڈرل لیول کے اوپر آپ نے ایگزامینیشن, کیونکہ ہم ریفارم کی بات کر رہے ہیں, ہم ریسٹرکچرنگ نہیں کر پا سکتے, ہم ریولوشن نہیں کر سکتے, اور ہم ریفارم جو ہے وہ ایوولوشنری سلو اور ان پیس میل ہوگی, پیس میل ریفارم. تو اس لیے یہ آپ کو ان چیزوں پہ جو کہ آپ تبدیل کر سکتے ہیں ان کی طرف توجہ دینی چاہیے. تو میں آپ سے یہ کہہ رہا ہوں کہ فیڈرل لیول پہ جو نیچر آف سول سروس ہے وہ تبدیل ہو گئی ہے, مگر اس کی سب سے بڑی بنیاد یہ ہے کہ سیاست دان نہیں چاہتا کہ ڈپٹی کمشنر کا آفس بند ہو جائے. اگر وہ چاہتا, وہ فوج نے کرنے کی کوشش کی 2001 میں, مگر اس میں وہ مزید مضبوط ہو کے سامنے آئے. جس وقت ان کو موقع ملا 2013 کا, آپ ایکٹ اٹھا کے دیکھ لیجیے جو اس وقت تک لاگو ہے مختلف صوبوں میں, انہوں نے they came back with vengeance. The provincial leadership came back with vengeance, and of 2001 we are going to reinforce and recreate and strengthen the deputy commissioner. And if you're looking at the 2019 Punjab Act, again, the deputy commissioner is not withering away. So politician is interested in retaining, and similarly the service is equally interested. Therefore my request and suggestion is that let's move and think in terms of Provincial Public Service Commission, reorganize it, improve its composition, think of provincial exam, build the capacity of the provincial governments, and so that they are able to really do and deliver the services. And if you do that, the local government ordinance and local government now, which is part of the constitution, which is third tier of the constitution as a consequence of 18th Amendment and 148, let's really ensure that local elections are held urgently and immediately. And on that basis, you will begin to see changes and improvement in the delivery of services. We are too occupied with reference to local government only in case of Sindh, because there local government means that only one particular community, whether you like it or not,
will benefit.
Issue of cities that you raise. Why do we? So if you want to have a metropolitan affair, you have to think through this. And look at Lahore, you have 10 towns, 2 cantonments, and 1 LDA. And for all this, you don't need deputy commissioners. I absolutely agree. But then you have to find and create an alternative for which
ठीक है जी Said Saab.
We are not ready. And if we want an, thank you so much.
Thank you, Said Saab. Thank you. Let me bring in, just saw Javed Masood is here. Javed Masood, the former senior civil servant as well. Javed Saab, do you have anything to say? We are closing, but I'll give you the floor for 2 minutes if you have anything to say. Unmute yourself, please. Unmute Javed Saab.
Javed Saab ko unmute kare pehle.
Javed Saab, you have to unmute your mic. Mic ko dekhe, mic ko. Haan, that's better. Go ahead.
Okay, the brief comment is that if you are looking at the 2 dilemmas that plague the civil service today, one is inefficiency and the other is the tendency of act as courtiers to the government. Now, if you look back, the 2 points that have always been a matter of hurt for the hardcore civilian bureaucracy is Bhutto's removal of constitutional guarantees and the introduction of lateral entry. Dr. Saab has made a very good comment on the effect of lateral entry. Now, I am also on the same page as Dr. Saeed Shafkat that the few examples that were of the persons inducted through lateral entry, my experience, my interaction with them is that on the average, they were better than the regular civil servants. Surely there were problems in the induction process. And if the induction process can be improved, this is something which has a utility. Instead of the government relying on part-time consultants, I think the government would be better off if they have a system by which they can have induction on a selective basis. Now, the very interesting thing is that no civil servant or the civil service organization has ever protested against the induction of people from the armed forces into the civil service. And yet, they get the seniority that they bring for themselves from the armed forces, and they are preferred by many of the dictatorial governments in Pakistan. You see many examples of that, particularly with regard to postings in the provincial governments. The other point is that the question of the withdrawal of constitutional guarantee. Can any one of you among this gathering, and I'm sure there would be many other former civil servants who are present here, can any of them give a statement that the level of morality and the level of moral courage by our civil bureaucracy has increased through the restoration of constitutional guarantees? My point is that it has not. It has only worsened in severity. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Javed Sahab. But well, there's a lot to say, ladies and gentlemen. I think I'll have to close. But before that, let me also ask Naseem Beg Sahab, a view from the private sector. Naseem Beg Sahab, do you have anything to say on civil service reform?
Yes, only one thing. I'm totally confused on the matter of the post-18th Amendment. If provincial governments and what we are yet to see the city governments, etc., function, why shouldn't they be hiring their own people? Why should there be transferability between provinces, between the federation and the provinces? It just doesn't make sense to me if we want to hold people accountable.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. I think once again, what we see is that we think we know a lot about every issue. But unfortunately, this lack of research capacity has meant that we have really not understood any of the issues in this country. The 2011 Nobel Prize winner Robert Shiller has written a lovely book and an article before that called Narrative Economics. And everybody's probably read the book Sapiens as well, which talks about stories. The point is, narratives are very powerful. And whereas Saeed Shafkat Sahab is right, there have been some changes in culture and things between us, but Macaulay's narrative lives on. We still have the Public Service Commission. We still have that same exam that Macaulay invented, which my father took, which generations before him took, where people ratified for 2 years and they got it. I still don't see in this age, why do we do that exam? Why can't we just take 2 online exams if we want to test IQ or ability or whatever, problem solving, or there are all kinds of new things available. The narrative of Macaulay still lives on in terms of the civil service must have all the power. We must mistrust everybody. Therefore, we mistrusted the local entrant. Therefore, even today, we mistrust the professional. The civil service, once he's taken this exam at 26, he is all or she is all powerful. She controls every agency. She mistrusts every agency. So if you appoint a vice chancellor, that's Deputy Secretary is not a problem. Vice Chancellor is a problem. So if you appoint a public sector agency head, that Vice Chancellor, that public sector agency head is a problem, not the Deputy Secretary. Their Deputy Secretary can take over any department. It's fine. That's a narrative. That's not reality. So our narratives live on, and we, through our research, are only trying to change these narratives, because I think the narrative that we know everything is wrong we really don't know anything, and we really need to figure it out. And I don't see any reason why we should still have the exam. I don't see any reason why we should still have tribes. I don't see any reason why we shouldn't run the civil service just like the private sector. Hire people, fire them, make them work. If they don't work, get rid of them. Thank you very much, folks. We'll take the subject up again in another 2 weeks or so. It's been great. Thank you. All the best. I leave as confused as before. Thank you. Bye-bye.